Fancy meeting you here at BlackJupiter. I'm Agent Random, and guess what, everyone? There is World Ends With You news! Or more specifically, World Ends With You acoustic album just dropped. So I just wanted to make a small video chronicling exactly what this new album is and what its history has been. Let me start with the basics. The World Ends With You's composer is Takaharu Ishimoto, and he's pretty passionate about his music. Hence why there's like twice as many World Ends With You albums as there are World Ends With You games. Ishimoto has a tendency to keep working on World Ends With You music even when realistically he shouldn't have to. Like, the album releases of a good number of his songs are noticeably different from the in-game versions, meaning that he took time to continue working on them even after submitting the final version to Square. And he also used to hold a good number of concerts in celebration of the series' various anniversaries. Probably the most notable instance of him just doing World Ends With You music for the heck of it was when he released the Death March album. This album contained a few new remixes of World Ends With You songs, other music that he's worked on from Final Fantasy, some old Sawa songs that most of you have never heard of, and an original piece or two. The World Ends With You songs done for this album ended up being included in the final remix switchboard of the game. So really, it should come as no surprise that following Nioh's release, this trend continued. 6 months after Nioh released, January 11th, 2022, Ishimoto's YouTube channel uploaded an acoustic version of the song Breaking Free from Nioh out of nowhere. I remember at the time, I was in a journalism class in high school and started getting pinged about it, so I had to leave the room and pretend to go and do some reporting around the campus just so I could go and watch it. Anyway, this was about a minute and a half of Mas Kimura, the song's original singer, singing an acoustic version of the song while doing his best impression of, that blonde guy on the game's box arts. If you're watching this video and don't already know the spoiler with this guy, leave a comment. I'm really curious, actually. I don't make very many spoiler-free World Ends With You videos, and I genuinely wonder if there's a soul that ever clicks off because of the spoiler warnings that I give in every other video. Anyway, the video ended with a black screen with some text that I'm mostly convinced was made in iMovie saying, "Coming soon." Fans went wild because it ain't every day that we get anything to chew on World Ends With You was. A lot of fans were quick to make the assumption that we would be getting a full album of acoustic World Ends With You music, with a full version of Breaking Free being included. But honestly, none of that info was actually confirmed. All we really had was the one YouTube upload and to the knowledge that something was coming soon. And also, there was a mysterious private video linked on the ending screen. What could that be? 3 months later, the next acoustic song ended up sort of leaking. You see, Ishimoto uploaded the acoustic version of Calling from the first game onto YouTube, but instead of making the video private, he uploaded the video as unlisted. And if you're not aware, unlisted videos are still able to be viewed by anyone on YouTube as long as they have the link. Thing is, adding an unlisted video to a public playlist will still have the video show up when anyone clicks on the playlist, and that's exactly what happened here when Ishimoto uploaded it to the World Ends With You playlist on his channel. Of course, it didn't take long for the news to spread and the video was privated a few days later. Interestingly, when Calling acoustic version was publicly released, it was entirely different from the leaked version. The song was originally sung by a singer named Meg, but the final version was sung by Stephanie Topalian, who had sung a number of World Ends With You songs from Solo Remix onward and had sung the live version of Calling from Final Remix. As far as I can tell, Meg has never sung for the World Ends With You prior. It's unknown why the change was made or if Meg had been planned to perform other songs for the album. And by the way, out of respect, I am neglecting to play any part of Meg's version of Calling here since it was never meant to be shown to us. But if you do really want to hear it, re-uploads can be found elsewhere here on YouTube. But before Stephanie's version of Calling dropped, I ended up having to pretend to go do some reporting again because the private video from the end of Breaking Free finally became public, revealing that it was an acoustic version of Last Call, also from Nioh, and also sung by its original singer, Stephanie. And then when her take on Calling released, the hype was real. All 3 uploads ended with that same "coming soon" text, so we still didn't know for sure what this was all for. We didn't know if there was going to be a full album, or if these songs should be getting extended beyond their roughly 2-minute previews. But all of that would come in time, right? We just had to wait. Right? Now, you might notice that all these events happened in 2022.
That was 2 years ago.
Fast forward one more year, and there was absolutely no sign of the rest of the project. Nothing. Nada. In July of 2023, Reddit user BoringMarket2061 claimed to have messaged Mas Kimura asking him about the album. According to the screenshot, Kimura said that pretty much no work had been done on the project since the last public update, and that only the first chorus of the songs had been recorded for now. But he said that Ishimoto had not forgotten about the project, and Kimura encouraged the idea of nudging Ishimoto on the subject. It took 3 more months, but Ishimoto finally seemed to get back on the project, and more uploads started rolling in, with only a couple weeks in between each one. It started out with an upload of Revelation originating from Live Remix sung by Stephanie, and was followed by an upload of Voices from the animation and Your Ocean from Neo, both sung by Mas Kimura. In December, we then got an upload of an acoustic version of Price of Freedom, I Want to See You Smile, which is not from The World Ends With You. The original Price of Freedom is from Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII and is an instrumental track, and the vocalized I Want to See You Smile version is from the Death March album. This song was and is sung by Stephanie. The next month, Ishimoto proved that he did not learn his lesson from Calling and uploaded the trailer for the full album as an unlisted video in a playlist, so it ended up leaking several days in advance. Still, there was much rejoice because we finally had the full details on the project. It was a full album. It would have full versions of every song, and it would even have more songs. And weirdly enough, Price of Freedom was the only non-World Ends With You song of the whole batch. I guess Ishimoto just really likes Price of Freedom. The full track list ended up including Neo's Kill the Itch and the animation's Disconnect Me, sung by Mas Kimura, Neo's Divide, sung by Stephanie, and the instrumental It's So Wonderful from the original game. The album finally dropped on February 7th, with Breaking Free getting an early release on January 31st. And in between the release of Breaking Free and the full album, more previews were posted by Ishimoto. And I guess he still didn't learn his lesson from the first 2 times, because Disconnect Me's preview joined the ranks of World Ends With You songs it leaked early because Ishimoto doesn't know how unlisted videos work. Man, would I'd give to join that group. Anyway, what are my thoughts on the album? I mean, it's World Ends With You music, so of course it's going to be great. I will say that I do prefer the more traditional World Ends With You music style, but you sure as heck won't catch me complaining about getting new music. That said, It's So Wonderful and Divide in particular transitioned to the acoustic style pretty flawlessly, although I feel the need to note that Divide is now called Divided for some reason. Oh, and my favorites for the album as of right now is a tie between the new Breaking Free and the new Kill the Itch. Breaking Free's lyrics work just as well in acoustic as they did in rock, and Kill the Itch is just so jazzy. And of course, Kimura is killing it the whole time. I also really want to highlight that the 2 songs from the animation, Voices and Disconnect Me, have had new verses added to them. A little frustratingly, the original versions of these 2 were around half the length of most other World Ends With You songs, but for this album, they get new lyrics. Man, I would love to see someone make a cover in the style of the originals with these new lyrics someday, because I'm really curious what these lyrics would sound like in the original song style. On a final note for the album, it seems to have no legal involvement from Square Enix and was created entirely by Thrill Inc., Ishimoto's own company, which is a first for the World Ends With You. Even the Death March album was published by Square. Now, I won't pretend to understand how a contract that I've never read from a country that I've never stepped foot in works, but most likely, Ishimoto retained a creative copyright that allowed him the ability to self-publish arrangements of his work for Square Enix as he sees fit. And it's possible that he still had to get an official green light from Square, which likely caused at least part of the album's wait. Or at least that's what Dog Emperor told me on Discord when I asked them. But it's not like this doesn't have Square support, since the official World Ends With You Twitter account has been retweeting every post Ishimoto has made about the album. And yes, the official World Ends With You Twitter account is still active. I'm sure that there's a discussion to be had there on if that means anything regarding the future of the World Ends With You as a series, and well, I think I'll cover that another time. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I'm looking to start trying to mix in shorter videos into my production schedule, so keep an eye out for more projects like this one. And of course, BlackJupiter as a whole would not be able to do what it does the way that it does without the support from our patrons. No, seriously, Bacon King, Kaiser, Nero Jacob Kurotama, Willpower 784, Wonderland Snack, The Missing Samurai Ven, we couldn't thank you enough.